When you're at a trade show and you're showing people your product, you can see their facial expression. If they get really bored or they're not a fit for what you're showing them, they vote with their feet and they walk away. If they're really interested, they stick around and they ask a ton of questions, and you very quickly figure out what people are excited about and what they're not excited about.
Welcome to Virtually Live by Kaltura. Every week, we'll get into the latest and greatest in marketing, and specifically event marketing, audience engagement, and brand experience. To guide us through that, we've invited event professionals and marketing leaders from various industries. In this week's episode, Kaltura's EVP Platform and Growth, Zohar Babin, speaks with Datadog's CMO, Alex Rosemblat, about how Datadog conquered webinar fatigue with prime content at their targeted events. Let's go!
Hey, I'm Zohar Babin. I'm the EVP of Platform at Kaltura, and I'm coming to you virtually live from Tel Aviv.
I'm Alex Rosemblat. I'm the CMO at Datadog. I'm coming to you virtually live from New York City. We're just a couple blocks south of Times Square.
So, Alex, what would you characterize as top of mind for CMOs nowadays?
Ooh, top of mind is a lot. I mean, the world is kind of crazy right now. I think a lot of the things that for years and years and years, CMOs had relied on, are sometimes not available, or they're just not working like they used to. CMOs, I think, have had to do a lot of adaptation and learning on the fly and trying new things out in a very accelerated time frame to be able to get the same results to their sales teams or to other parts of the company. And it's been really a crazy time. There's so many things that are top of mind. I think for marketers these days, I would say the most top of mind thing is, how do you maintain the same level that was expected before with so much disruption, so many platforms and so many different things that you have to do in the world?
So how would you say, so there's kind of the world before COVID, the world after COVID, and some are calling it kind of the new events, and then there's the in-person events, and recently we're hearing a lot about this new concept of hybrid events. Normal?
We're not back to normal. I don't know. Maybe it will be.
Where do you see the values? And
I would say that's probably more like three phases.
The advantages and disadvantages of each type of event,
and now we're kind of in.
Where do you see the market going?
And it's the thing I think is that it's also hybrid's going to be around. Some countries in the world are a little bit more types have many more pros and cons restrictions or COVID rules for an in-person event. Obviously, some are going backwards, some are going forwards. Especially for a CMO that's running in multiple geographies, all encompassing. It's a bit confusing. It can be a bit uneven to figure out. You also have things that you can do in one geography are not working or are not available in other geographic location. I do think that people have to travel. People have to take time away for travel time. It's more expensive during the acute phase of the pandemic. Everybody has the time. Things were just turned off. You might have a smaller turnout. You couldn't even think about it. You have to also get your own people there. You have to work with a ton of vendors. It's a larger event for catering and for people moving and security. I mean, it's a big undertaking. I think that with tons of people involved and tons of different processes. We're running our own trade show Dash. Implications, the amount of support people that we have to get during the event and then coordinate and train. I don't know, the great resignation is really the way that it should be called. I think of a virtual event, musical chairs. Obviously it's not as all-encompassing, but hey, you can log in from anywhere in the world at any time if you happen to be looking around, getting the hours the company is moving to. You can make yourself another company more available for an hour or two rather than taking 2 or 3 days to travel somewhere. Has probably seen a fair amount of disruption also. There's obviously the ability to the team and its composition outside of technical difficulties. Even if you find someone with a user experience and similar skill sets, you do have a lot of constitutional knowledge about how to do things that walk. It was very smooth. We all, even now that we're going back to live events, and live events are something that we're going to do that session in a very particular way. Pre-recorded, and it was we don't really have any veterans outside of the editing team that puts on the event that knows how these things work. So we had a lot of teams that would come in and support. And they're seeing this for the first time. Things can live for a long time. And it used to be something that we had time zones as a well-oiled machine, and we had a lot of people from the departments that knew what the role was when they went to an event. And these are things that all of a sudden we have to train. Again, there are people on from scratch for real, and it's not just a few people at a time like it used to be. We have new hires, repertoire, the whole team. I don't see us going away from.
That has been one of the greatest challenges, I guess, for
you're trying to get to. And again, if you do hybrid, the pros are you get the best of both worlds.
Share a little bit about Datadog Datadog,
You get to see the facial
what does
expressions and the body
Datadog
language.
do? What the
You
size of the marketing
you can
group
do
within
things at the
Datadog?
party
Give us some,
that doesn't
so
always
people
translate
have
very well into the virtual realm. And then you can also serve the entire world, maybe even have a different
what
set
are you
of
guys
content.
about, and
again,
what are
you
the
can even
types of
incorporate some
marketing
live elements like
challenges
what I
that
was
you
just
guys have?
mentioning. Sure. So I think that
Datadog is a platform
if you do
for
hybrid
monitoring
the only real
and for
con is
security
you're putting
for
together
modern
two
applications.
different trade shows or two
and that would
different
be
events
applications that are running on a
that
cloud
sometimes
platform
require
like
different
AWS,
skill sets,
Azure, or
will
Google
probably
Cloud.
require different people
Or
because the amount of work
if
to do a
someone
very
has
thorough
a
job on
special
both of them
on-premise
is so
setup where they've
all-encompassing.
used a lot of advanced technologies to essentially
if you're willing
replicate
to
a lot
put
of
in
the
the
technology
amount
that's
of
available in the public cloud.
people, time, and effort, you can do a great hybrid event and
cover
get the best of both.
pretty much every base for a developer or
And
for
it
a
sounds
site
like almost
reliability
on the
engineer
virtual
or for an
side of
InfoSec
things,
engineer.
there's significant
The
advantages to
marketing
knowledge
team is about
sharing, to maybe
just over
brand
100
awareness.
people. We've got a ton of roles open, so
reaching wider
check out our
audiences
hiring
of
page because
like
we're
people who
hiring a
can
lot.
travel and things like that.
And I would say
but
that
mostly it's
the challenges that we're
the
facing are very much
educational
challenges of
aspect of
scale.
sharing
The
content
company
and training
has
people,
just
sharing
grown
the
by leaps and
knowledge.
bounds in the past couple
So
of
product
years.
demos
We're in more
and,
geographies going
maybe
at full
certification
scale in
videos, things
different
like
parts
that
of the
would
world
work
that we
better.
weren't before.
And then on the in-person
we've
side,
rolled out
it
tons of new
sounds
products
like
over the past 2
more
years.
on the
I think going into the pandemic, we might have had
person-to-person
6 or 7
relationships
products. Now
building
we
side
have
of things.
15 or 16.
And maybe you would
and we've also
even
announced
say,
betas for a couple of others
let's
that are going to be out at some
prioritize on
point
the
soon.
in-person side, the existing
So,
customers.
all of a sudden, a marketing team that was doing maybe a handful or so of products in a couple of parts of the world
on the virtual
has
side,
to be able to do almost the
reach
entire
as many
world
newcomers
with 3
as
times as many
possible,
products
or
almost. So it's that
increase
kind
our
of scale that we have to account for.
do you see
building a team that is able
do you see
to
the virtual space, for
as
example, getting
good
better
at the first
in
couple
the
of products,
future,
replicated
in
3
the
times
person-to-person relationship side of
is
things?
definitely an interesting
where do you see
challenge.
this
It's something that
growing?
we're working on right
believe
now.
in the
Hiring, as I
meta
mentioned before, is a
future,
big
for
part of it,
example?
but then there's a lot of infrastructure.
I mean,
that
I
needs
sure
to be
hope
built.
so.
People have to take things out of their brain
I
and
will
write them
say that
down.
when we started
make
looking
templates,
for a
make guides, make
platform,
onboarding,
in
and be able
2020,
to,
for us
the
to
recruiting
do,
team has a very
our
productive
first
set of
big
months,
virtual
and a ton
trade
of new
show.
people come in. You
It
very quickly
seemed like
want
a
to
lot of
have them be able
platforms
to do
have
the
been
same
underinvested in.
job.
We couldn't
for
find
a
any
different
platform
product or
that
for a
would say,
different
"This
part
has
of the world that
everything
we've
we
been doing
want."
for a long time.
And it didn't feel like the things that we were suggesting
when
were
you
like
think of the
that
most
unusual.
impactful
No one
activities
had
from a
developed
marketing
it, and I guess that
perspective,
virtual
and I
platforms like that
assume
hadn't
ultimately
been
you're measuring
sought
revenue, right,
after
and
enough to
impact
have
on revenue.
the investment of people to sit down
What
and
would be
actually
the kind of the
feature
top
that.
5 most impactful
Again, I do hope that I think that
marketing
there's ways to do
activities
it. I
in
think
the
that
areas
there
where
are,
you
and
you're
even some other
consistently
things like,
seeing,
if we're
great
others that
results
remember, like
and
chat
you're
roulette, like there are
continuing
ways to
to
have
kind of
people
invest and
network.
innovate in
I think
those
there have been
areas.
some aspects to that, but
I mean, for me, I
even
think
Zoom doesn't quite make it
human
super
connection
easy to
is
have like a
extremely
very
important.
high touch,
I think that the
curated.
best
I mean, you've got breakout
selling
rooms and things like
experience
that anybody can have.
And again, I'm not a product
if people
manager
haven't
for
tried
these
it, I
kinds of
definitely
systems, recommend trying
I
it
do
out.
remember
It's
there was a
literally
fair amount of things
face-to-face,
with a
person-to-person.
big group of
The
people.
equivalent of
we
like
wanted
going
to
to
be
a
able
farmer's market and talking
like,
to
I'll
the
give you an
farmer
example
that,
of a thing that we
pulled
wanted to do
whatever
that didn't seem like
vegetable
there was
off
any
the
platform
off
that
the
could do
vine
it.
or out of the ground.
We had the ability to
you
ask
can
a
see
couple
people's
of
reactions
questions
to your merchandise. I think that
what people were interested in, what they did in their day-to-day work,
for B2B
and
business,
we wanted to be able to
software
do a tailored
trade show
agenda.
Of
When
course,
you're
they
at a trade
could
show
go to any
session
you're showing people your product,
to have a
you can see the
recommendation
facial expression
expression
based on the things that you filled out
in your during the registration process about your interests
with their feet and they walk
what you're working on.
If
These are the
really
sessions you think you should go
they
to.
stick around, they
you
ask
couldn't find, at least in 2020,
very
a single
quickly figure
platform
out
that
what
allowed us
people
to
are
make like a
excited about and what they're
customized
not
set of
excited about.
recommendations for subset of
that's like probably the bullseye right there.
So like
the next
had to send it out
circle
via
out of that,
email, but like what we would have wanted was, I think, is really
15
like
minutes
a
before
virtual
the next set of sessions
saying, hey, there's these 3 sessions happening in 3 different stages.
That's happening virtually, which
we recommend you go to this one based on what
maybe
you
it's a
said.
virtual trade show.
I think we were ready to build the algorithms
trade show
behind
platforms
like
where like you don't
recommendations,
get that kind of
but
person.
we didn't have a real way to push
more like a
recommendations
one-to-many where
that they would
some pre-recorded video is playing and a ton of people are watching that video at the same time. So I do think that some of that is missed. When we did our own virtual trade shows during the pandemic, we
talked a little bit about the kind of experience from
our sponsors
an organizer perspective
to have a human
of an
being
event and
actively
how
demoing
you
in the
kind of
virtual booth area because we didn't want to lose that person-to-person
relationship
building as much as you
and
could get.
the kind of the true goal behind those
I think that the next
marketing
concentric
activities.
circle after that are
let's talk
digital
about
demand gen programs where there's high intent. You make assumptions about who's going to come in, and you can keep on looking at the data to to fine tune those assumptions about who's looking for something and are they reacting well to whatever you're telling them you have. And then probably I think that the last after that is more passive style
the organizer and the participants, and then the sponsors would normally just kind of
you might not always know exactly why someone downloaded
digital
something.
campaign or something like
some
that.
Funny stories I have from years ago when I was in the product marketing seat.
I mean, I think it really depends on
campaigns
on the organizer, and the organizer has two areas I think to be able to.
Number one is downloading the asset, because like the platform that they select is just not very flexible, even if they want to do something or something.
So I mean, like the further you get from that human connection,
you don't really have
the
any
harder it is to really understand who's coming,
the vendors
going to
choose. So you just have to hope to choose something that's got some
touch a little bit deeper on that virtual.
But then I would say the other side of it is actually the
virtual, obviously, events, and then there's the in-person events. And recently, we've been hearing a lot about this new concept of hybrid events
that we have worked with that put on events have been
very
open to making changes as much as they could based on the platform. And when we made some changes,
advantages and disadvantages of each type of event,
and then some have been extremely kind of like this is the program and this is the program and this is how we're going to do it. And
I think hybrid's going to be
around. They're not willing to hear us out and to make any changes, or maybe they just can't because of the platform. We have had a number of virtual events that have been for an in-person event. Obviously, is it's what we're all kind of used to as human beings. You can gauge people's thoughts. You can again, almost every time we've asked for customization, that we have tried to make an impression to person connection to audiences. We try to recreate as much of it as we can. The cons are obviously like you have to have an example of something that we always ask for. We have people have to travel. Can we have to take time away for travel time? It's more expensive. Not everybody has the time interacting with real people. Is there like a camera you can turn on? You have to also get your own. A lot of times you have to work with a ton of vendors. Has that ability that just hadn't for catering, anybody would want to spend time and security. And they're like, yeah, sure, we'll turn that on just for your group. And like we end up having these great conversations. And sometimes even meeting someone across the world who even knows where who's really interested. We take their contact information, we reach out directly,
reaching wider audiences of like people who
and then others say like, no, we want 3 white papers.
But mostly it's around the educational aspect of sharing content and training people, sharing the knowledge, and so product demos and maybe certification videos, things like that would work better. And then on the in-person side, it sounds like more on the person-to-person relationships building side of things. And maybe you would, as a marketer, say, a lot is driven by numbers, and obviously some of it is vanity for sharing with your and building on board, but some of it is relationship and actionable on the virtual side. Try touched a little bit about reach as many newcomers as possible with the follow-up increase post-event and certification program. If you downloaded this white paper, then I should be probably talking to you about this product. Do you see the virtual space, for example, getting better? Talk a little bit about those KPIs. What person-to-person relationship side of things marketers should be measuring is during their events, and what should be shared with sponsors versus what maybe potentially also be shared with the participants themselves.
Looking for a platform. I'm personally in not a believer at all for us to do awareness. I know that a lot of people swear by it. I mean, look, I'm so easily distracted. Like, if you think that I saw you couldn't find any something that probably this has everything we want. It wouldn't have permeated. And it didn't feel like the things that we were suggesting were it's going to go in one eye and out the other. So I'm not a big believer in that. No one had developed it, and I guess that's virtual platforms like that called leads sought after enough to have the investment of people. I think that the real KPI is how many people did you meet. I do remember there was a fair amount of person where you with a big group of people learn about wanted to be able to you. Like I'll give you an example of a thing all that different from seeing someone's banner seem like there was any platform that could do it. And we not having the ability to ask a couple of something that we definitely harp on is we want to sit down. We want someone interested in what they did interact with work, and we wanted to be able to do a tailored agenda. Of course, they could go to any session they wanted to, but we wanted to have a recommendation if someone has some specific based on the things that you filled out and writes down with the question registration process. They're like, hey, interest this question, what you're working on. These are the sessions we think you should go to. Getting a bunch of random names of people 2020 visited a single platform that allowed us to make like a customized set of recommendations for subset of users. And when we got like we had to send it out via email, but like what we would have wanted was 15 minutes before the next set of sessions saying, hey, there's these 3 sessions happening in 3 different stages. Out of these 3, we recommend you go to this one based on what you said.
Meaningful interactions you had with
we were ready to build the algorithms behind like the recommendations. But I didn't have a real way to push the recommendations to the people so that they
would you measure that by way of asking them questions, by way of seeing what they downloaded, what they looked at, sponsor, or number of conversations they've had with salespeople? Has been talked a lot about when it comes to trying to aim for, let's say, when virtual came, a brand like Datadog was more about the relationship between hundreds of thousands of organizers and the participants, and then the sponsors. What would you try and measure your salespeople in digital campaign or something like that they had during the event? Where do you see this?
Well, I mean, if it's our own event, I think it really depends on a large amount of topics on the organizer, and the organizer has to cover areas for sessions or for other material to tweak. Number one is someone's path through the topics. The platform that they select is just not very flexible, even if they around for a long time. So that becomes pretty obvious. So if we're a sponsor to an event, we don't really have any interact and talk with those people. What platform the vendor is going to choose? Nothing gets better than saying like, yeah, this person went through a demo. But then I would say the other side of it is actually the person that was giving the demo wrote down a note some ability. So-and-so is interested in solving this kind of problem. But some of the vendors really trying to get we have worked with that have put on events have been very open to making changes as much as they could based on the platform. And I do want to we made some changes, like the event was great for us. And then some have been extremely, kind of like, this is the program and this is the program and this is how we're going to do it. And they're not willing to hear us out and to make any changes, or maybe they just can't because of the platform. And, we have had a number of virtual events that have been absolute duds and we won't go back to.
What do you think marketers should be measuring during their events, and what should be shared with sponsors versus what maybe potentially also be shared with the participants themselves?
Yeah, I'm personally not a believer at all in quote unquote awareness. I know that a lot of people swear by it. I mean, look, I'm so easily distracted. Like, if you think that I saw your banner or something, I probably didn't, and it wouldn't have permeated. And if I don't know what your company does, it's going to go in one eye and out the other. So I'm not a big believer in that. Of course, in marketing speak, you call them leads. I feel like we should just call them people met. But I think that the real KPI is how many people did you meet, and having met a person where you didn't learn about them and they didn't learn about you. Once again, it's not all that different from seeing someone's banner for awareness and it not making an impression. So, something that we definitely harp on is we want to sit down, we want someone to see the demo, we want to try to interact with them if possible in a live event or in a virtual event. And, with lead capture, of course, you can say that. And if someone has some specific questions, we hope that someone actually writes down what the question is. So when they follow up, they're like, hey, you had this question, let me help you out with that. But again, getting a bunch of random names of people that visited your booth and you don't know why they were there, what they were looking for, is really not helpful. And when we've gotten data dumps like that from a vendor of a virtual event, I mean, it's probably not an event we're going to go back to.
If you're trying to aim for, let's say, a brand like Datadog probably attracts, hundreds of thousands of people for a virtual event, what would you try and measure your salespeople in terms of, the impact that they had during the event?
Well, I mean, if it's our own event, we have a large amount of topics to cover for sessions or for other material, it's very easy to see someone's path through the topics and know what they were interested in. And we can also see if they stuck around for a long time. So that becomes pretty obvious. If we're a sponsor, we really want to interact and talk with those people. So, I mean, nothing gets better than saying like, yeah, this person went through a demo and, maybe even the person that was giving the demo wrote down a note and said, so-and-so is interested in solving this kind of problem. But I mean, we're really trying to get to that person-to-person connection as much as possible.
What are some tips? What do you suggest fellow marketers to think about, and how should they plan for the next 12 months?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's a lot of very ominous headlines in the news about, a potential downturn coming up. I've sold through 2 downturns, and let's put it this way, I didn't feel much of a difference in terms of selling volume. I think that what you're trying to sell for is different. We've been in a hugely expansionary market. I mean, what is it? Probably the longest expansionary market in the history of recorded economics or something like that for the past decade or 12 years or however long it's been. I think a lot of people in the workforce for over a decade, they don't know anything but just growth. The thing is that if people start getting pulling back and not investing as much, people are looking for efficiency. They're looking for cost savings. Selling them tools that will save them money that can become a pretty hot business. I think it really depends on everyone's product, but taking a look at what you might have had as an expansionary set of use cases, turning that around to be a set of efficiency or cost saving things you can do with the product. If you do it successfully and the product can do it, and maybe this is more for the marketer to tell their product person, hey, do you have anything that would work in an economy in a downturn where people are trying to cut costs and save and be more efficient and do more with less? But if you do have those capabilities, and maybe it's just something that you never thought to highlight, from my own experience of working with products that could do that during downturns, you get a lot of business also.
Go virtual. In person is expensive.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Alex. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and look forward to meeting you again next time I can do in person.
All right. It's good talking to you, Zohar. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Alex Rosemblat and Zohar Babin, for joining us today. And thank you for tuning in. Join us again next week when we talk to Alvio Barrios, Cisco's SVP Customer Experience.